welcome back to Ravens Today. I'm your host, Connor Gioffreda. Please make sure to keep subscribing to the channel and like the videos. Let's dive into the latest Ravens news I have for you today. We'll get into the roster cuts in a little bit, but first I wanted to answer some more comments that were on the last video. Someone had mentioned that we should fire the GM, the OC, and Harbaugh. The Ravens won't even make it to the playoffs the next 10 seasons with such mediocre staff. Understand where you're coming from. I do. I believe that if the Ravens don't make it to the AFC Championship or the I'll go even farther. If the Ravens don't make it to the Super Bowl this year, whether they win or not, looking for a win, Harbaugh needs to be gone. I know that he carries so much history with the team, but it's like, what else can we do for you, man? Like, what else can we do? Like, there's nothing else like that we can do. We have the best team on paper. Obviously, there are going to be injuries. I've said this many, many times. But if you, as a head coach, can't go back to the Super Bowl again after, having it all those years ago, we're going on to 15 years, almost 15 years ago that the Ravens won their Super Bowl with Harbaugh. Yes, Harbaugh is one of the longest tenured head coaches actively in the league. Only one that other coach that for the same team as well. The only other coach that has this is Mike Tomlin. I understand that keeping Harbaugh makes sense in some minds because of the fact that he carries so much history with the Ravens. But at the end of the day, the Baltimore Ravens are a business as well, and they need to look out for the business. And if letting John Harbaugh go, if the Ravens don't make the summit, I think it's time. Mind you, he's the guy that makes the last call. He's the ultimate play caller. The OC and DC report to him. And hear me out on this. I may be completely wrong, but hear me out. I have a slight feeling he had something to say in regards to the game plan being changed for the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs and the divisional round matchup against the Bills. I cannot prove this, and if I'm wrong, please mention in the comments. But we strayed away from the game plan in big games like that. We never ran the ball against the Chiefs. We ran it a couple times, and then that was it. We relied on the passing game. And the Chiefs' running defense isn't that good, and yet we went the completely opposite direction. Same with the Bills. Bills' running defense. Look, Derrick Henry broke a darn record against them in week 3, in the first play of the game, and then we just abandoned the run game when it comes to those games, those sudden death games. I mean, again, I'm just saying it for shoots and giggles here, that Harbaugh is the head coach. He makes the final call when it comes to what the game plan is going to be. Again, I could be wrong here, but I'm just saying. Anyway, I do agree to some extent that John Harbaugh should be let go if the Ravens don't make it to the Super Bowl this year. He's had enough excuses now. I think if it doesn't happen, there needs to be a change. Also, I wanted to agree with another comment here that Lindy is definitely one of our best offensive linemen. $20 million a year is a lot. I said that in the previous comment. We have new contracts that we need to look at too. We can't fit all the eggs in one basket here unless people make some type of leeway. People need to realize I have other team members here, and mind you, that's nothing against the players, of course. If you are a player that has played exceptionally well, like Tyler Linderbaum has, and you think you deserve it, you do deserve that type of money. But part of the reason why Tom Brady was so successful in his dynasty with the Patriots is because he wasn't the biggest paid quarterback in the league. He took pay cuts to surround himself with uh, players that could, bring him to a Super Bowl. Obviously, Tom Brady's a quarterback versus an offensive lineman, and it was a different era during that time when he was a Patriot. And also, there was, every one knows about the allegations that were some of them were debunked, some of them were against him about cheating and stuff like that. But anyway, that's not the point. Tom Brady's the GOAT. I understand that it's a different league. Players want to be paid. But at some point there has to be either some sacrifice, or we have to start looking at other options here. So totally agree with that comment that there are other contracts we need to look at. I don't think we absolutely need Linderbaum. There are other centers that we could look at. It's not a do or die situation with the Ravens. Honestly, I think that they should focus entirely on Kyle Hamilton's contract first before going to Linderbaum and Isaiah Likely's, and of course Lamar's. Because someone also mentioned, why should we look at Lamar? Let's wait for he still has 2 more years. I've mentioned this before. The dead cap hit from Lamar's contract in the 2026 season is going to be big. $74 million. That's a lot of money, and the only way to keep Lamar and get rid of that dead cap is to extend him, to extend the dead cap over, and then we keep going and going with it. If we can't extend him, yes, we have Lamar for 2 more years. Great. But with the dead cap, we cannot be able to sign more players or extend more players because our cap limit is going to take a hit because of that dead cap. So again, that's why we need to extend Lamar before that happens, before the 2026 off season. But again, we're going to move on here. So Chuck Pagano also mentioned that the Ravens secondary is as most talented as he's ever seen in all of his years of coaching. Mind you, Pagano has a lot of years of coaching. Lot of years. Came out of retirement for the Ravens. Okay? It's for him to mention this and say this is one of the most talented that he's ever seen. Heck yeah. We've been waiting for this. Finally, we filled gaps that we desperately needed. Okay? For a coach of his experience, of his caliber, to say that. And mind you, he's probably biased because he's on the Ravens staff. But again, he carries a lot of knowledge as a coach. To say that about our secondary means the world, because we are finally able to get rid of. I'm not going to say get rid of. We were able to fill holes that desperately need to be filled. Not going to mention names anymore, but we know who I'm talking about here. And we definitely did very well in this draft. So, again, great to see that Chuck Pagano admits that, hey, this team is, at least in the secondary position, is stacked. It's one of the best he's ever seen, the most talented he's ever seen. It's especially with a coach of his caliber. Moving on here, so who got cut? I mentioned some cuts earlier, but the Ravens officially had their cut down list, and there are a lot. We are going to go through, let's just say all of them here. By the way, some surprises here. So one of them was, Bo Braid, Chandler Martin, offensive lineman, backer Malik Ham, rookie 7th round offensive lineman Garrett Dillinger, who that's a shame, but hopefully he finds a place on the practice squad. Ravens cut guard Darian Dalcourt and guard Jaron Pennington. Nick Samick was waived. Brent Urban was cut, but bear with me on this. He'll probably come back at later on in the season because it'll be more that's more early roster. He'll come back later. this season, and they love Brent Urban, so that he'll definitely be back. I 100% guarantee that. They've also waived nose tackle CJ Okue, who, again, shame here because he had some flashes of greatness in the preseason, according to Jeff Zibrak. Tight end Scotty Washington and wide receiver Jamal Banks were among those roster cuts as well. Here's the note. I predicted this since they were signed. Miles Gaskin and Dernis Johnson were cut as well, but they both had flashes of really good runs on the Ravens, especially in the preseason. So hopefully they get signed somewhere else. Malik Cunningham was cut, who spent a duration of his time as a Raven on the practice squad, and offensive linebacker K'Mon Rucker was cut. The most surprising to me, obviously there were a lot more cuts, but a lot of names that were cut. But the most surprising to me was Jalen Armour-Davis. He was cut because he really stood out in the preseason and in training camp. Zach Orr did say he's one of the most intellectually he's one of the smartest corners in the league. But God help, he needs to be healthy. He needs to be up and at him, and that's what. Unfortunately, his time as a Raven has always been plagued by injuries. Also, in better news here, Ravens undrafted free agent Keon Martin had made the 53-man roster. This is fantastic because Martin had such a great training camp, and we all remember those interceptions he had in the preseason. So this is great to see that he made the 53-man roster. Unfortunately, came at a cost with Jalen Armour-Davis getting cut. But if Martin's the guy to go with, love it. Hopefully Jalen Armour-Davis is able to be signed back on the Ravens in some capacity, practice squad elevation or something else. I don't know, but if he finds another home, I'm rooting for him because he did have flashes of greatness in the preseason, and it was great to see that we finally got some glimpse of what the Ravens expected out of him. But unfortunately, cuts have to be made, man. David Ojabo didn't get cut, which, again, he probably did enough to make the roster, but again, I don't think that he's going to be a starter. I predicted this in the last video that he probably did just enough to get in the roster, but we'll see how it goes, and we'll see how he does in this season as a Raven. Hopefully he gets some reps and proves himself to fight for a starting position. We'll see. Lastly here, so the official roster is out. You can find it on the Ravens social media page, find it anywhere. All the other NFL teams are opening their rosters. On paper, this team right now is a Super Bowl winning team. I cannot express that enough. They've got the quarterback, the running back, the offensive line. I will say that. The wide receivers, the tight ends, the corners, the linebackers, the kicking specialist team. This official roster on paper is a Super Bowl winning team. Once Isaiah Likely comes back, hopefully by week 1, if not at the latest week 2 or 3, it's game on, man. We have one of the scariest looking defense in the NFL. Cannot wait for our offense to be healthy because we can look like the scariest offense in the NFL. I'm talking about, and this is a stretch here, we're talking about the Peyton Manning's last season. That Broncos team, that was the scariest offense in the NFL, that won the Super Bowl, by the way. Comparing that offense to ours. Of course, this is just a prediction. Defense, just as scary. This, again, I keep saying this. This is a Super Bowl winning team here. Just have to make sure that guys stay healthy and we stick to the game plan. Thank you for tuning into Ravens today. I'm your host, Connor Gioffreda. Again, make sure to keep subscribing to the channel, like the videos. I will catch you all later.